Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Jordan Cummins, the CBI's UK Competitiveness Director, and I'm delighted that the CBI are in conversation with the CMA about the future of the UK's mergers regime. Joel, thanks for being with us. Would you just tell us a little bit about your role at the CMA?
Absolutely. So I am Executive Director for Mergers. So what that means is I lead the staff team across all merger investigations. I take decisions on our more shorter investigations, and I also sit on the CMA's board and digital markets board.
Great. And the CMA's role in mergers, some people know what that is, some people don't. What is it in brief?
So the CMA operates the UK mergers regime around competition. So it's focused on seeing whether deals raise competition concerns, doing an investigation, bringing in evidence and understanding from different players across the sector. And if we find a concern, then thinking about how we can remedy that concern to make sure that competition is protected going forwards.
And I've heard a lot about the 4 Ps. I know Sarah and Doug have been out there talking about them. What are they? And I guess, what do they mean?
Sure. So I'll talk about them in the mergers context. They obviously cover the whole of the CMA's remit, but what are the actual Ps? They are pace, predictability, proportionality, and process. So in mergers, the pace element is making sure we get to the conclusion of investigation as fast as possible. That includes the information that we gather at the beginning of investigation, putting in a short KPI around that, but then also as we run through the process, making sure that we engage and get to a conclusion as quickly as we can. On predictability, that's making sure companies understand when we will review, so how our jurisdiction to review is enacted, and we'll bring out new guidance on that to give greater clarity in June. On proportionality, it's making sure that every deal that can be cleared is cleared with or without remedies. And really there's a focus on making sure we account for investment and innovation impacts from mergers, thinking about the types of remedies that we will find effective and will accept, and then also how we think about global deals and what the impact on the UK is and how we investigate those deals. And then finally on process, what we really mean by process is engagement. So engaging with businesses through our process. And going forwards, we're bringing out a mergers charter, which is a statement of intent for how we will engage with businesses and how we expect them to engage with us. But then really thinking about developing materials, whether that be guides or outreach that engages directly with business and speaks to them in language that is very relevant and can easily be digested. Not hundreds of pages, but things that are short, targeted, and businesses can take account of in what is a pretty time-constrained environment.
That's great, and that's good to hear. And you mentioned remedies there. So there's a new remedies review coming out. Would you just help us with what it is and I guess why you're doing it now?
Absolutely. So today we're launching a call for evidence in our remedies review. What is the review? The idea is to think about how we approach remedies in mergers so that we can make sure that every deal that can be remedied and can be cleared is. So we really target our outcomes on the competition concerns and make sure that we can deal with those through a remedy. And we've got 3 elements to that. The first is the type of remedy and the impact of that remedy. So thinking about things like different types of carve-outs that businesses might do to just get that element that's raising competition concerns, or the way they might interact with other businesses in their behaviour. Thinking about how our remedies are effective, but also proportionate. The second part is how we take on board investment, innovation, efficiencies, and make sure that remedies can lock those in so that deals really deliver for consumers at the end of the day. But also think about whether there are other customer benefits that we can take account of in designing remedies. And then the final part is the process. And that builds on some recent reforms that we've done to our in-depth investigations to put remedy discussions early and at the heart, but making sure we drive that through all of our processes so that companies can engage with us in an open and effective way to ensure that where a remedy can be found, we find it.
That's great. And this sounds like a lot of change. Kind of how will this feel, I guess, if you're a business, and what are your timelines that you're working to on this?
So on things like considering investment and innovation more generally, that's now. You see that in the recent Vodafone 3 investigation, where we've locked in the investment commitments through a remedy, working with Ofcom and working with the companies. So that's right now. Going forwards, we launched the call for evidence on the remedies review today. We'll be consulting on that for 2 months so that we can give companies the chance to engage with us and bring us their evidence about different types of remedies. But then we'll look to bring draft guidance in the second half of the year and final guidance by the end of the year. So we're not talking kind of multi-year timeframes. All the other elements around the 4 Ps, what we're really looking to do is to bring them forwards at pace. So new guidance on our jurisdiction by June, bringing in new KPIs around our pre-notification information gathering in June, and really working through these things. On the business outreach, again today, we're putting out a mergers charter, which is that real statement of intent for how we're going to engage. And we'll roll out a series of engagement with businesses, whether that be through trade bodies like the CBI, also with investors, with consumer groups over the coming months, and really take that out there to hear back from different people who operate in the different sectors. And I guess that's my kind of number one message on these different initiatives is they're designed to make the process work better in lots of different ways. But at the end of the day, the signal is we're open to engaging directly with businesses, whether they be the companies that are merging or whether they be the customers or the suppliers or the competitors to those. And we want to hear direct from you. So our door is open to talk, but also we want you to bring forward your best evidence, your best engagement with us at the same time.
And that's great to hear. And I think that was another question, kind of, if you're a business, what are the kind of channels you would expect the CMA to be talking about this in? What can you expect, I guess, if you're out there going, I think this affects me and I think I want to respond. But how will the CMA reach me, I guess, is my question.
Yeah. So, I mean, the call for evidence on the remedies review, and if we put out guidance on different elements, that's all open. Yeah. And we're not looking for 50 pages of legal response. Yeah. If you've got 2 or 3 pages of ideas or evidence or whatever you can bring to us that you think we should hear, we want to hear it. But more generally, we'll be doing different outreach. So we'll be engaging with the trade bodies. We'll be going along to conferences. We'll be running webinars that people can dial into. So there's very little time commitment there. And you can listen from and talk to us. And that's what we're there to do, is to really have that open engagement.
And do you think the word of the moment is growth? This all kind of ladders up to that, doesn't it, from the CMA's perspective?
Absolutely. I think all the different elements are aimed at making sure we can get to a decision on mergers as quickly as possible, that companies have greater certainty around how we're going to operate, the time frames, the types of deals we're going to look at, but also to make sure that we still operate a regime which protects competition for the benefit of everyone. So to make sure that if you're the customer of merging parties, you can still make your investment decisions, that you can invest with confidence, that you can grow your company as well. And I think, that broader perspective is definitely necessary. This isn't kind of open season on bad deals. That shouldn't be the message that people take away from this. What they should take away is that the CMA is open to engaging, will operate in an effective and proportionate way, and will make sure that we can drive investment for everybody and that growth that brings.
Well, that's great to hear. And thank you very much for walking us through it and for joining me.
Thank you very much, Jordan.